Shehechiyanu v'kiyamanu v'higiyanu lazman hazeh. To be standing here before you on a most momentous occasion, not only of your son's 8th grade graduation, but a graduation under which circumstances have never before been, and Amir Hashem should never again be, I can only say that is nothing short of a miracle that we're here celebrating right now. It's not my position right now to share things other than a couple of what we call housekeeping to make sure that the graduation runs smoothly. As you can see, and you understand, we've never had a graduation like this. It says in Pirkei Avos that Hayom Katzar v'hamalacha Aruba. The day is short, there is much to do. We have 3 shifts, Baruch Hashem, of our graduating class of Tufts Shinpei 2020. And we need to seize the day, this great opportunity that we have before us. The expression seize the day, there's a Latin term which is very appropriate for today's graduation, which is Carpe Diem. Okay, so here's a message for the parents and then for the students. Number 1, parents, we're just asking you to please remain in your vehicles throughout the entire graduation. We'll share with the parents at the appropriate time to move off to the optional photography opportunity that we have for you. We also ask that in the simcha and joy that you have for your sons graduating, that you do not honk your horns or make any extra noise. We like to keep the graduation as special as it is. If we were inside in the auditorium, we would ask you to turn off your ringers on your cell phones, put them on Vibrate. That might not be appropriate now, but please make sure that you're just helping us keep the feeling of today. For students, being that we've never done this before, we haven't even practiced, I just want to go over a couple of quick things for you. Number 1, please remember when you leave your vehicles, you should have your face masks on that we provided for you. For any boys who are going to be walking up stage, we have 2 stools on either side of the stage. We're just asking that you walk up carefully because we don't want anyone to fall. It's not that big of a step, but when you do come up, please be careful when you're walking up. If you do not have your speech with you, there's one on the podium which has your name on it. Either way, we're asking that after you finish speaking, please take your copy. The next graduate's copy of the speech is right beneath it. We want to make sure that runs smoothly. And finally, and probably the most confusing, and I am davening very, very much, together with the Rabbeim and all of your help boys, that when you're coming out of your cars, you'll notice that there's these clear, translucent chairs. They're really supposed to be 1 chair for 1 student. During this particular first part of the graduation, we have the great opportunity of graduating 2 sets of twins on the stage left, which is why there are 2 chairs for them later. But really, there's only 1 student who should be sitting here otherwise. And the second chair here is for a student who's going to be speaking and then speaking again. So just imagine there's 1 chair. When the chair is empty, then you should be coming up next. You should not have to pass the video camera area, and hopefully that process will run smoothly along with the weather, Amir Hashem. It is my great honor to begin the official graduation Tufts Shinpei 2020 by asking parents, students to take a look at our video screen as we begin the official graduation with the graduates processional. Our graduates will virtually walk into our graduation with us, and with that begins the graduation.
אשר תלכי תלכי אלך, ובאשר תליני עלי, כי אל אשר תלכי, אל אשר תלכי אלך, ובאשר תליני עלי. עמך עמי, עמך עמי, עמך עמי, ואלוקייך אלוקי. עמך עמי, עמך עמי, ואלוקייך תלכי אל אשר תלכי אלך, ובאשר תליני עלי, אל אשר תלכי, אל אשר תלכי אלך, ובאשר תליני
Welcome everyone to our graduation, Roar Middle School, the graduates of 2020. Just a moment before we get into the graduates, we take so many things for granted. I know the boys are going to be speaking about that soon, but all of us take so much for granted here at the yeshiva, and we could not pull off an event like this without so many people's collaboration. First, and I think this is very special, here we're so dedicated at the Roar Middle School, but this event came to be because of the unbelievable connection and collaboration that took place between the members of the early childhood, elementary, high school divisions and the middle school all together, talking about what we could do to embellish, enhance our graduations. So what you're going to see today is a reflection on the fantastic collaboration that is taking place. There are some people that if we didn't mention their names, I think that it would be a void. You would not know all the people that worked for this today. And so I think it's important for everyone to listen. First, I must recognize someone that is, I think, Superman and Hercules put together, and that is Rabbi Wiener, and what he has done at the forefront in preparation. Next, we decided on our graduation 2 months ago. The date was sometime in April. And in that moment, that's when Mrs. Goldglantz got into full gear. She has been unbelievable in driving us at every stage. We should compromise nothing this year. And I want to say that Mrs. Goldglantz has been the glue behind everything happening at the middle school. And she drove us all to the high level that you're going to see today. And I want to thank Mrs. Goldglantz for everything she has done, not just this graduation, but for every single graduate and family and all of us. The beautiful compliments of this graduation square that you see is thanks to the hard work and ingenuity and creative design of Mrs. J. And I want to thank Mrs. J and all the parents that got behind her to help. We appreciate it very much. Also, I can't even believe that I'm standing here in the state-of-the-art stadium, and that's thanks to Mr. Chata and his whole organization and team, from photography to camera work to the technology and the sound and the FM. What can I say? Just unbelievable. They built these stages for us. Thank you. Also, something that we all take for granted when we want to do an event, we take for granted that there's going to be security and parking and people that are totally invested. And for that, I want to thank Rabbi Zev Roth, our campus manager, someone who has totally partnered with us to make this event unbelievable. Also, I want to thank Mr. Isaac and his crew for being here with the greatest spirits and a smile to make everything happen. We have probably the best IT department in the world, headed by Avram Eliezer Friedman. And what's amazing about Avram Eliezer is that he doesn't wait till we call him. He tells us that we need to do this is what I could do for you. And they've been there, and he's expanded the division and department. I want to thank him for everything that you see here today. We would be nothing without all these support people in place. Some of the video presentations that you already saw and you're going to see later on are so impressive, and that, again, comes from Mrs. Goldglanz's love for every graduate. I'm saying that because I can't even find the right words to express what she does for every single one of us. The administration, the rebbeim, and the faculty, and the families and the graduates. Today, the final video as the boys, the recessional, as they proceed out officially, was put together by Rabbi Matti Rosenberg, who was really our graduation consultant, and I want to thank him for giving us his time at all hours of the day and night, mostly at night. By day he has a day job, but at night he turns into a monster of what he can do for us, and I want to thank him for taking all our calls. Finally, the educational piece at the Royal Middle School are entrenched with the Rock of Gibraltar, and I want to thank Mrs. Berry, the General Studies principal, who has not wavered even slightly. She spends all day and night worrying about the academic achievement and growth of every one of our graduates. And it's thanks to her that we have not only not fallen back on the educational piece, not only have we maintained what we hope to maintain, but we have far surpassed our expectations this year in every area. And I want to thank Mrs. Berry and the entire General Studies staff for, what can I say, it's pure dedication and commitment. When Mrs. Berry asked the General Studies faculty if they can come to one of the graduations, they all said unanimously, we will be here for all the graduations. They wouldn't miss a beat. You cannot find that anywhere. So I just want to thank the tremendous dedication of the staff. Finally, and I say finally, but achron chaviv, the heart and soul of our yeshiva is our rebbeim. They not only take our vision and mission, but they implement it in every moment that they teach and that they model. And the last few months have been just purely inspiring. I mentioned earlier that Rabbi Wiener and I share Mrs. Goldglantz and Mrs. Berry also, but Rabbi Wiener and I have the best seats in the house. And I don't mean today. We had the zechus of going from classroom to classroom in the mornings and watching learning on the highest level with all the boys. And it is just absolutely inspirational. And I want to thank the Rebbeim for raising the level of commitment to Torah learning. And to that I am deeply indebted. And all our Talmidim, but especially the 8th graders, I don't think you can appreciate how much your Rebbeim did. And I hope today we'll be able to share that. And I'm so thankful this year to invite one of our beloved 8th grade Rebbeim to speak to us on behalf of all the Rebbeim, and especially for the 8th grade Rebbeim to share some reflections as we move into this special moment. So I'd like to give kavod now to Rabbi Yaakov Moskowitz to represent the 8th grade Rebbeim. Rabbi Moskowitz.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Palgan. Rabbi Palgan asked me to speak for 3 minutes, But, since this is really my only opportunity today to take my mask off, don't be surprised if it goes a lot longer. Bershus, the Rosh Hashiva, all the Menalim, the administration, all of our incredible staff, the parents, and of course, the Choshev Talmidim. There's a few words to describe today's graduation. Unique, one of a kind, really special. And on one level, that's talking about the fact that we're having a graduation in a parking lot. We're watching a graduation from LED screens. We're sitting in our cars with the air conditioning on, or at least some of us are. That's true, but I'm referring to something much deeper. Unique, one of a kind, really special, are referring to each and every single one of you. This class is a group made up of 49 boys, but it's not a group of 49, it's 49 individuals, each one unique, special, and talented in their own way. Each one brings to the table something that nobody else has. The Mesilas Yesharim at the beginning, he tells us something unbelievable. He tells us if you want to achieve greatness, if you want to achieve really high levels, you know what you do to get there? You have to understand ma chovaso be'olamo. You have to understand what is his obligation be'olamo, in his world. And Rav Volbe Zatzal explained those words so beautifully. What does it mean, chovaso, his obligation be'olamo, in his world? What does that mean? He said because each and every single individual is special, each and every single person is talented in their own right, and each and every person has their own strengths, their own talents that they bring to the table. And if you want to achieve greatness in this world, if you want to truly accomplish, the Mesilas Yesharim is saying you have to understand your talents. You have to understand your capabilities. You have to understand the strengths that you have and maximize those at every given moment that you have. And while this year has had some challenges to it in the last 3 months, every single person over here, every single one of these graduates brought out that truth and that reality. I want to share with you an unbelievable story. A number of years back, I was learning in yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, and before we were leaving, before we were headed to the airport, we remembered it was a few days earlier, we did not get a chance to see one of the great Gedolim of the time, Rav Chaim Pinchas Scheinberg. And we so desperately wanted to see him, so we called up his gabbai, and he said, listen, if you get into a cab right now, and you come over here, there's another American yeshiva that's having a question-answer session with him, and you could join in as well. We said, great. So we got to that cramped apartment, and we all stuffed in there. And the first question that was asked of Rav Scheinberg Zatzal was, can any member of Klal Yisrael become a gadol? Anybody. And he looked at us and he said, yeah, of course. You just need one thing. And we're all wondering, what is that one thing? What is that secret? He's probably going to talk about brain power. He's probably going to say that you need to have mastered Shas at a young age. No. Rav Scheinberg said to everybody, you need a watch. You need a watch. And everybody was astounded. What does he mean? And his son said to him, Tati, the boys don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean that they need a watch? He said, if you want to truly accomplish, you can reach godless. But if you have a watch, and you're constantly looking at the time, and utilizing your strengths, utilizing your talents to do what Hashem wants of you at every given moment, then you truly can reach greatness. And my message, my bracha to all of the Chashuva graduates today, all 49 individuals, is that you should take the talents that Hashem endowed you with, those special characteristics that all of you have that are unique to you and only you, and continue to grow, continue to accomplish for many years to come. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov.
It is my distinct privilege to call up one of the 8th grade Rebbeim who has been here since we had our first 8th grade here at the Royal Middle School, Rabbi Yehuda Alber.
Thank you, Rabbi Palgon. The best thing about speaking is I get to take off my mask. Bershus Rosh Yeshiva, administration, faculty, grandparents, parents, family, and above all, in honor of our esteemed graduates. When I was in yeshiva, my Rebbe often spoke about godless Adam. He drilled into us how important it is to believe in ourselves. Only with a high dose of self-esteem can one be successful in Torah and mitzvos. Years later, when I became a Rebbe, my number one goal was to follow in the footsteps of my Rebbe and to teach my Talmidim that they too should believe in themselves. How does one do this? How does one impart greatness to his students? Well, obviously it's important to compliment and to praise, to remind the Talmidim of their good traits and their accomplishments. It's also important to show the Talmidim that I care about them and I love them. When one knows his Rebbe truly cares about him, it makes him feel important and special. Even my Rebbe loves me. But another facet of imparting greatness, which is crucial, is to show them that they can accomplish when they put in the effort. I could read a Gemara and understand it. That is the greatest self-esteem. Sometimes when I'm teaching a difficult lesson, I could sense a boy doesn't understand it. He says he does, but I know he doesn't. So I review it with him, step by step of the Gemara, the question, the answer, the proof, the disproof. Then, when he understands it, his face lights up. I see the gleam in his eyes, and he yells out, "Rebbe, I got it. I finally understand the Gemara." That feeling that he has at that moment is the greatest self-esteem. And that's what I look forward to in teaching, when I see that feeling on my Talmidim. Unless a boy accomplishes on his own level, the compliments and praise don't mean too much. After a while, he begins to resent it because he thinks it's not true. It's just empty words. Sometimes I need to push my students. After the first trimester, one of my students was upset with me. We have a system in the yeshiva where all the teachers grade the students on a scale of 1 to 4 of several different categories of behavior. And the goal is to attain a 3 or a 4 in every category. And then they make the prestigious 3-4 club. This student told me, "Rebbe, all of my teachers gave me a 3 or a 4. Because of you, I didn't make the 3-4 club. You gave me a 2 in one of the categories." I thought to myself, what do I do? There was a part of me that was saying to myself, "Rabbi Albert, don't be such a stickler. Come on, give the kid a 3. He wants a 3. He's a good kid. Don't be so strict." Then I saw a vision of my Rebbe standing there and tell me, "What are you doing? You're ruining his self-esteem. I built you up. Now you're tearing him down. Give him a 3. He wants it." Then I saw another vision of my Rebbe, and he said to me, he has to earn it. Stick to your guns. Make him put in the effort to accomplish. And when he does that, that's real self-esteem. So I turned to my students. First, I complimented him on all the other behaviors he was excellent in. And then I said to him, "It's because that I care about you so much that I can't give you that 3. Next trimester, work on improving, and then you'll make the 3-4 club. And kachava, the end of the story was, he improved in that area, he got straight 4s, he had a super year in my class. That's real self-esteem. He put in the effort, and he earned it, and he felt great about himself. It was real. This is what we endeavored to do in the middle school, to strike that balance of caring, praising, but at the same time, pushing to accomplish. Each Rebbe has told me that you were all successful. I know the students in my class were successful. May this continue next year in high school, and always remember to believe in your greatness. And if you ever have any doubt, imagine a vision of your Rebbe standing there and telling you how great you are and how great you can become. Mazel tov, mazel tov, mazel tov.
Right now, I'd like to call upon one of the 8th grade Rebbeim, Rabbi Goldberger, who's going to represent all the Rebbeim, the 8th grade Rebbeim, and addressing our wonderful Talmidim. I'd like to ask Rabbi Goldberger to please come up.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Palgon. To quote one of my fellow Chashuva Rebbeim, Rabbi Alber, the only reason that I agreed to speak today is so that I should have the opportunity to take off my mask. Please excuse my nervousness. I've never spoken to so many cars before. Bereshus, Rosh Yeshiva Rabbi Neumann, Rabbi Palgon and the Anhola, fellow faculty, parents and grandparents who are watching live stream, including my parents, I think, Tati and Mami. And finally, the esteemed, or at this point just steamed, graduates. Dear graduates, I have just one more lesson for you to learn as you move on from middle school, so pay close attention. I will share with you the beauty of what graduation means. Are you the same person who joined RMS 3 years ago? Do you have the same skill set that you had when you entered the 6th grade or the 7th grade or even the 8th grade this year? The legendary Rosh Yeshiva from Yeshiva Torah V'das, Rav Yaakov Kamenetsky, just a few decades ago, was visiting his grandson in a different yeshiva. And before taking leave from him, he gave him a most peculiar gift. He gave him a plant. While his grandson must have received the present with some astonishment, surprise, the great Reb Yaakov pulled him over to the window and told him to set the plant down where the sun can beam on it. Let's watch it together, he told his grandson. After only a minute or two, he turned to his grandson and asked him a funny question. Did you see the plant grow? Of course, the young budding Talmud Chacham answered, no. But then, Reb Yaakov taught him a lesson for a lifetime by asking him the following question. Did the plant in fact grow? This young man could not deny that despite the invisibility and the impossibility of noticing it, that certainly the plant must have grown. Dear Talmidim, while you may not have realized it, we actually did take notice that, wow, these Talmidim have grown. You have grown in your letter writing and grammar abilities. You have the ability to compute complicated math problems, unlike you ever did before. and your knowledge of the history and science of the world is more discerning than it ever was. Your abilities to understand and read a Gemara on your own is greater than ever before. And most importantly, the Torah and Derech Eretz that you have learned has transformed you into a greater servant of Hashem than you have ever been before. So, did you grow? To graduate means to build upon the skills that you have now attained and use them to reach an even higher goal in the future. As I look at each and every one of you in your cars, I see that you are driven, pun intended, towards becoming a greater Talmid Chacham and Torah Jew and Eved Hashem. We are so proud of you, and we are confident that you will continue to give your parents, grandparents, and Hashem tremendous nachas, mazel tov on your graduation.
Welcome, everyone, to probably the most unusual graduation you will ever see, and definitely one of the more memorable ones. First, I would like to thank Rabbi Palgon, Miss Berry, Rabbi Wiener, Miss Goldlands, and the entire Ruhr Middle School staff on behalf of the present students. When we all entered middle school, who could have imagined where we would be today? Many of us entered as friends, some of us as strangers, but together we grew as a whole in our learning and our midos. Graduation is a milestone we've looked forward to for many years. We look forward to being together, celebrating, and getting up to speak in front of our family and friends. This year, as in many previous years, we each prepared to share a meaningful lesson we learned from our Gadol project. Although our stories will be published in the yearbook, and it definitely would be proper to share, how could we not address an even more timely and personal topic, life in quarantine? As we all know, Hashem plagued our world with the coronavirus, changing us in an unforeseeable way. Our Rebbeinu teacher has challenged us to think deeply about how each of us has been positively and spiritually affected by this pandemic. What could be more relevant and purposeful? Our Rebbeinu teachers have always focused on our growth in learning and midos, and this was a golden opportunity to teach us a lesson about how everything is always for the best. I'm honored to present a third of the Roar Middle School class of 2020 who would like to share their personal reflections on how they have grown during this challenging and unprecedented time. Enjoy.
Avraham Aminov.
The coronavirus pandemic has turned our lives around, and each one of us has been affected emotionally, physically, mentally, and financially. Watching people I care about and seeing their pain has helped me to become more responsible and respectful to others. The Torah commands, love your neighbor the way you love yourself. This stood out for me, and I recognized the importance of becoming more responsible and respectful to others. With this saying, my intention is to daven with more kavana and say more prayers when I daven.
Avi Amster.
I have learned a tremendous lesson throughout this quarantine. When you stop to think for a moment, you realize how much time you have to learn Torah and grow closer to Hashem. I recently started learning Parsha with my grandfather on the phone almost every day. I also reconnected with my first grade Rebbe from New York, and we have been learning Ramban for an hour and a half every Friday. These are 2 new special additions to my week. These sessions take up a small portion of my day, yet they really enhance my connection with Hashem and others in a meaningful way.
Moshe Barda.
What I learned from this pandemic is that even after a short period of time, you could get used to anything. For example, if you learn Torah and do mitzvah every single day, you could get used to it, and it will become part of your routine. I also realized that just as the virus spread so quickly, so could our good midah, cooperation, kindness, and Torah values spread just as fast, if not faster than COVID-19. This is why we should focus on doing good and staying away from the bad midah, such as Lashon Hara, which spreads even quicker than the virus. Anything is possible if you make it a priority. Serving Hashem in these challenging times will get us through. Thank you.
Please turn your attention to the video screens. Zvi Bloom is sharing his thoughts from North Carolina.
This half of the year has been hard for all of us. We can't go outside and interact with our friends or go to shul and do things we do in our everyday life. There are so many reasons to complain about what's going on, and they are all authentic. But there is always a positive way to view things. I think that the coronavirus has impacted everyone's lives and also changed the economy. I think that everyone closing off to themselves slows everything down and brings the reality that Hashem is the one controlling the world. This helps us connect to Hashem more deeply and clears our minds to see what's truly right. This half of
Zachy Breyer.
The lesson I found within this COVID-19 pandemic is to not take what we have for granted and to not forget who is really in control. Normally, we get blinded by the daily bustle of life, so we might forget who's making this world work and take for granted how kind Hashem is to us. This nearsightedness causes us to forget that everything only works because of Him, and it gives us a false sense of invulnerability. This pandemic is like a wake-up call from Hashem in shattering our illusion of invulnerability and opening our eyes to see how kind He is to us, and how our day-to-day life is orchestrated by Him so carefully as to not cause even the most minor inconvenience to us without divine apprehension to cover for His reasoning.
Please turn your attention to the screens as Shmuel Burns shares his thoughts from New Jersey.
My experiences with the coronavirus pandemic has made a big impact on me. There are many lessons that I've learned that improve my Torah skills and my everyday demeanor. I think the biggest thing that I have improved on was having patience. Patience will build up your character traits and make people look up to you as a role model. When I look at myself, I see that I've grown in a number of ways through both my Torah and general studies, and that will help me get places in life. When we look at what's going on in the world, we have to realize that life is precious and we should not take a second for granted. What can we accomplish in these challenging times? I believe we need to continue to make good choices and do whatever it takes to ensure that those choices reflect the Torah values instilled in me. My experience.
Ariel Chata.
Something which I have gained from my pandemic experience is that due to social distancing, I've been deprived of the ability to daven with Minion. This caused me to daven at home without a Minion. Since I started davening alone, my kavana has dramatically changed for the better. My appreciation towards davening has changed me. B'ezras Hashem, by the time this pandemic is over, I will feel more focused and strengthened in my davening, and I hope will continue to guide me in my spiritual growth.
Aaron Cohn.
The lesson I learned from the coronavirus pandemic is that the Jewish nation cannot be stopped. Even though we are all in quarantine, we strive to keep the mitzvos. You know the famous saying, the show must go on? Now we must go on and keep Hashem's laws. We cannot abruptly stop following the Torah. We still learn it even though we can't go to school. We still daven even though we can't go to shul. I personally feel that this is true. I take the opportunity to help my mom, whether it is taking out the trash or helping with groceries, even though I should be in a classroom. You can't even stop me from talking with my friends. I don't have a phone, but I still found a way. I will use our current situation to grow in my Torah values. For me, the show must go on.
Yaniv Cohn.
My life in quarantine has changed me in more ways than I could have ever imagined. One area I feel that I have grown is in becoming closer to Hashem. While davening at home, I started focusing more on my Tequila and on the beauty of the words. Now, I have a better appreciation for what I am saying. Being at home these past few months has also helped me to be more patient and appreciative of my family and friends. I am looking forward to the time when we really can socialize and not take for granted even a second that we have together. May we all soon be out of quarantine and keep praying to Hashem with kavana and keep growing in our midos.
Moshe Danziger.
An event like the coronavirus has never happened and hopefully will never happen again. The entire world just shut down and no one can do anything about it. A lesson that I have learned from this is the concept of ein mevade. No one is in control except for Hashem. No one can do anything to protect themselves to make themselves 100% safe and certain that they won't catch the virus. Furthermore, people are rushing and trying to create a vaccine or cure, but they all have not yet succeeded. The cure or vaccine will only be created when Hashem wants it to. This lesson gives us tremendous chizuk and comfort, knowing that we are completely in the hands of Hashem, our loving Father.
Zvi Danziger.
In every situation, there is an opportunity for growth. The current pandemic that we are living through has helped me grow in several ways. One lesson I have learned from it is that even in a situation which seems hard and difficult, there's always so much positivity. One example of this is that because of coronavirus, people have more time to be with their family. This pandemic has helped me realize what is really important to me, and that is my family and classmates. There's so much positive growth that every one of us can have from this pandemic. Every little thing that Hashem has placed into this world really does matter. We just have to take a deeper look.
Yisrael Duchman.
During this pandemic, everyone learned something. The thing I learned is that everything in this world is in Hashem's hands. Many families who had plans to go somewhere for Pesach or for the summer got their plans wiped out in a split second. We aren't in control of what happens to the world, but we are in control of how we respond to these challenges. I will take the Torah values I've learned and look at this challenge as an opportunity to grow and be the best I can be for those around me. We need to do our best and trust Hashem will do the rest.
Netanel Elgad.
Just a few months ago, I was running my life with the usual routine. I woke up, I went to school, went to shul, and many other places. Now, I rarely leave my house. When life was normal and everything ran smoothly, I didn't look at it as a gift. I didn't realize how fortunate I was. Everybody has been affected one way or another by this pandemic. Although we are all isolated, we should all appreciate the situation we're in. Every day, we should take a moment to show our gratitude to Hashem for everything we have.
Sadia Elgozi.
I have learned and adapted to many things during this coronavirus pandemic. First of all, it is a lot harder for me to learn Torah and other studies in school over Zoom. I really want school back, or else I probably won't learn to the best of my ability. This is making me daven more, and I have more concentration in my prayers. It has taught me to make more corrections in my daily life and know what it's like to stay at home for a long period of time. Being at home has taught me to be more organized when I daven and in my daily actions, including when I learn. I also recognize that we should appreciate everything we have and not take anything for granted. We can't even have a minion for davening anymore, so we should pray at our homes for this virus to go away and for Hashem to spare us for what we have done wrong. This has taught me to be a better person, and we should all get through this together. And I would like to thank my mom and dad for all they have done for me.
David Feldman.
First and foremost, I would like to thank Rabbi Pagan, Rabbi Wiener, Mrs. Berry, Ms. Goldlands, and Coach Rees, especially my parents, teachers, and all my Rebbeim I have for the past few years. Over the years, each and one of you have been helping me throughout my middle school years, and I'm really grateful for each and one of you for that. I'm very grateful to have this moment to reflect on such an amazing middle school experience while under quarantine. My parents have always been emphasizing the importance of being cooperative. I was able to learn that cooperation is a great spiritual value that is worth engaging in. During these hard times, we all need to help each other out in any way possible. I've realized that just by partaking in daily activities, it helps make everyone around us feel better and safer. I've learned that throughout this whole ordeal, that just by partaking and cooperating, I'm able to fulfill the Torah precept by honoring my Rebbeim, teachers, and parents. Finally, I would like to thank the Rebbeim and teachers for all their hard work during this very challenging time. It has been a great experience at Roar Middle School, and I'm truly appreciative of everyone here. Thank you.
Joseph Feldman.
The coronavirus is probably the biggest epidemic in human history. We cannot make light of the situation, but we need to make the best of it. Because of the quarantine, we are giving many opportunities to learn Torah and listen to Shiurim online. Many think that the virus means we have to learn a lot less, but it's not true. We can listen to Shirim and learn with our families and friends on Zoom. I'm on 3 different learning sites, Rosetta Stone, IXL, and Khan Academy. I'm also learning Sacred Ezekiel with a tutor, and every week me and my father learn Empirically together. Just because we are apart doesn't mean that we should stop learning like we are together.
Thank you, Rabbi Palgon, Mrs. Berry, Rabbi Wiener, Ms. Golant, and the incredible Roar Middle School staff. On behalf of the 8th grade and our families, we would like to thank you for really putting in so much work and time to make this the best possible graduation, even under these unfortunate circumstances. It feels great to finally talk to people in real life without like a big headset on my head or a Zoom call, or it feels great. I'd like to focus for a minute on what exactly you all are witnessing. It may appear like we are just a regular group of 8th graders moving on to high school. True, like hundreds of graduates before us, we have completed 3 years of middle school education, focusing on our learning in the Limudei Kodesh and general studies. We have taken many Gemara tests, written countless essays, solved many math equations, explored the insides of plants and cells, the list goes on. Yet we managed to still have fun along the way. We've done science experiments, general knowledge, break rooms, and more. But we are moving on with so much more than just knowledge and activities. As you know, during the last 3 months of our middle school experience, Shem presented us with the unexpected challenge that seemed impossible, the coronavirus. We each had a choice about how we would face and conquer this challenge. There is not one of us who has not grown or learned to conquer this challenge. Our graduation would not be complete if we left today without sharing our insights with you. So I stand here today, honored to introduce a third of the Roar Middle School class of 2020 who would like to share their personal feelings and reflections on how they have grown spiritually during this period of quarantine and distance learning. I will begin with my own reflection.
Binyamin Fish.
I've taken many lessons from the coronavirus outbreak. What I learned to appreciate most is the value of life. People think life lasts forever, but this virus is our wake-up call that it doesn't. Lives are being taken away every day, and nothing is normal anymore. This virus helped reality hit us square in the face and tell us it doesn't last forever. It is here to teach us not to forget or take for granted what we have. Hashem put us here to do Torah and mitzvos, interact and build a legacy, not only for our sake, but for the sake of the future generations to come. We must wake up and take action, because no matter how long life is, it doesn't last forever.
Ben Gibber.
In 20, 30, or even 100 years, when this worldwide pandemic is over, and it's just another memory of a peculiar time, what experience will we still have with us that will have stuck with us for the duration of our lives? What lesson will we take out of this incongruent time? For everyone, it's something different. But for me, I think that we need to think about what Hashem is really trying to tell us. That in our world of fancy cars, immense houses, and extravagant bar mitzvahs at weddings, it's time to take it down a notch. It's time to think about what is really important. How can you help someone else and lift their spirits? What can you do to become a better, nicer, and more caring person? In what way can you change the world and make it a better place? As Steve Jobs said, those who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that do.
Avraham Goldenberg.
Since we are all in our homes without any way of davening with a Minion or learning in base medrash or kollel, I learned to appreciate all the things that we are missing now during the COVID-19 virus pandemic. I learned to appreciate the kollel in which I can learn without all the distractions and noise, which makes it harder for me to learn. I also learned to appreciate the minyanim that we are missing out on, which firstly enables us to daven with a Minion, and secondly helps me with my concentration. Before the virus, everything was normal. Now, at this time, we can see how good and easy everything was before the virus, and that everything that we thought was normal is really a gift.
If we think about this fact every time we wake up, every time we go to school, every time we eat a juicy fruit, we can appreciate all the good that Hashem does for us and be inspired to do the right thing.
Gershon Goldenberg.
I learned a lot from the coronavirus pandemic. One lesson I learned is that Hashem runs the world. We all know that our Purim shtick was played out by Hashem. Certainly, this global virus has also been directed by Hashem. Although these difficult times seem challenging, in the future we will look back and see that we grew tremendously. One positive outcome from this situation is that we will learn to responsibly use technology to make distance learning possible in both secular and Judaic studies. It is so clear that everything that happens is for the best. We will eventually begin to realize Hashem's master plan as it plays out in our daily existence.
Shlomo Goldenberg.
Over these long 2 months of no Minion or school, I began really to understand what we are missing during these challenging times. I began to appreciate everything we take for granted in normal life. Now that things are slowly coming back, I genuinely hope that I will never forget what it was like to be missing all of these things. Whether it's Minion or it's our classroom, I hope to always thank Hashem for all the great things He gives us every single day. My outlook on Corona is that Hashem is trying to send everyone a wake-up call to change. Each person takes it his own way and gains from it.
Eitan Goldsmith.
The coronavirus pandemic we are experiencing has caused the world to change in tremendous ways. Most people alive today have never experienced anything like this before. We are all completely foreign to the idea of being quarantined at home and having school, weddings, bar mitzvahs, and other events on Zoom. However, I am sure that each person has something positive they can learn from this situation. Each one of us has grown and connected to Hashem in our own way. I personally learned that we can't take our life and our time for granted. We must appreciate every minute Hashem gives us here and always use our time wisely. Hashem is teaching us how much we have to appreciate each day and utilize every moment of life we are given. Every breath we take is a bracha, and I'm grateful for this important lesson I've learned over the past few months.
David Hachman.
This period of the coronavirus pandemic made me realize and appreciate several things. I realized how much I miss my friends. I don't get to see them around in real life anymore. I also realized how much I miss school. I really appreciate all the things that school has done for me all these years. Learning over the computer is not the same as being in school. I also really miss going to shul. It has really made me appreciate davening with the Minion. I really hope we can return together soon.
Ariel Ayofi.
There are many Torah values I have learned from the coronavirus pandemic. One of the Torah values I have learned is that we should look at the world from Hashem's point of view. Since the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, Hashem felt like he lost something very dear to him. When the virus came and our schools closed, Hashem wanted us to feel like He has felt for thousands of years. Another lesson I have learned is that this is a test of patience. When will we get angry? When will we get depressed? Also, I now realize that we should appreciate what we have before we lose it. We used to have many things we took for granted. We had everything: restaurants, schools, and schools. And now we only have Zoom. We can focus on thinking about when this pandemic will be over, or we can look at the big picture and ask, when will this gullus be over? If we are wondering what Hashem wants us to take away from this experience, I would say that He is hoping we'll not remember these times as boring, useless, and annoying, but rather we look back at these times for an opportunity of growth and appreciation.
Zachary Zagayev.
With the outbreak of the coronavirus, my life has changed dramatically. I'm grateful for having my family because we help each other with anything we need. I learned that Shem gave me a special family. They get me motivated to learn Torah every day. I like to thank the teachers who have taught me while I'm sitting at home. I never thought I'd be saying this, but I miss going to school. I miss waking up early to see my friends and my Rebbes. It's fun to sit at home, but I'd much rather be in school.
Sam Kaplan.
The positive spiritual lessons that I learned from this whole corona pandemic are to stay positive, to value life, and to daven sincerely to Hashem. I think that davening to Hashem is a very important lesson to learn at this time because Hashem is the only one that can do anything about a situation. I also understand that the value of life is really important and that life is not forever. There's an old saying that goes, man makes plans and God laughs. This saying shows that nothing is under our control. Anything is possible. The lessons I have learned show me that I can stay positive because I know that everything is up to Hashem. These lessons are very important to me in this time of quarantine, and I hope that the quarantine ends soon.
David Kaskas.
The most essential spiritual lesson that I learned from the coronavirus is how valuable friends and family truly are to me. Because I am unable to see my friends as much as before, I appreciate them now more than ever. My friends have elevated my spirits and helped me to stay strong during this challenging time. One way they have helped me is to motivate me to wake up on time to attend shul regularly. I am also working on learning Torah with more energy.
David Lax.
The coronavirus has impacted my life in a spiritual way. When I hear of all the tragic things that are happening to people, it helps me realize that I can't take life for granted. I can be in the same position as anyone else and my life can change in an instant. Additionally, the coronavirus helped me to appreciate my family more. There are people who are losing family members, and I'm thankful to Hashem that my family is healthy and safe. The coronavirus boosted my emunah in Hashem. Ultimately, it is all up to Him, and we have no control over what happens in our lives. All that we can do is daven and pray that nothing will happen to us and our families.
Moshe Lampert.
A spiritual lesson that I took from this corona outbreak is not to speak badly about other people. The reason is because when the base of Mikdash was still around, anybody who talked Lashon Hara got leprosy and went into isolation away from everybody. Not even their families could be with them. During this pandemic, it's the same thing. We have leprosy, which is corona, and we have to go into quarantine. So what I have to say to everyone is this is a sign from Hashem not to speak Lashon Hara, not just now, not ever.
Chaim Lapchik.
The coronavirus has impacted us all in our own way. In one way or another, we have all grown. The coronavirus proves that nothing is for certain, and our lives can change in a matter of weeks. The question is, how do we choose to look at the situation? I have heard many people complaining about online school as if it was the worst thing to ever happen to them. True, we wish the coronavirus would disappear. People are losing a lot of money, our economy is crashing, and some people may have even lost their jobs. I prefer to look at what's happening in a positive way. Despite the coronavirus, we still have our amazing staff and teachers looking out for us. I feel inspired by Klal Yisrael. While the whole world is in lockdown, we continue learning Torah and serving Hashem. These are challenging times, but I know Hashem is always watching out for us.
Don Leonoff.
With this unpredictable virus, COVID-19, we have to adapt to a new reality. Since we can't really go out, we have to dig deep into ourselves and bring out our potential. One area in which I've grown tremendously is in my midos. A specific midah I'm working on is patience. Patience with my siblings, patience with my Wi-Fi connection, and patience in general. Another Torah value I learned is that we have to daven to Hashem privately just like we daven to Him publicly. He is testing us. Are we following His mitzvos because He asked us to, or are we just giving in to peer pressure? May we all be zocha to improve in our midos and Torah values.
Shalom Levy.
I've learned a lot over these hard days in isolation. I've learned how to be more helpful around the house by taking on more chores. I actually learned how to truly embrace these challenging times. I have to admit this, but I shouldn't have taken school for granted, because I really miss it. This time has also taught me that if you think and stay positive, any challenge could be seen as an opportunity. The most important thing this pandemic has taught me is that we should be grateful that we don't have to endure the many sufferings we have seen across the world. I would like to thank my parents for helping me through this difficult time, and all of my classmates for making their way through these hard days. Please know that Shem is with us and we are here for each other no matter what.
Aaron Lieberman.
If there is one thing I learned from this whole coronavirus experience, is to never take anything for granted. Before this virus, I didn't think going to school and laughing with my teachers and rabbeim was such a big deal. I didn't think seeing my friends on a normal basis was such a big deal. I took normal, everyday things for granted.
While being hunkered down in my house for these past few months, I realized how lucky we are to have these things that seem so normal to us. For example, every year my family spends Pesach with my father's side of the family from Chicago and New York. We were especially excited this year because we were all meant to spend Pesach here in Miami. In the end, everyone had to cancel their plans and spend Pesach in their own homes. This was the first Pesach my family spent without seeing my cousins. Another part of my life I took for granted was being able to daven with a Minion. Before this virus, I thought it was just a hassle. Since the opportunity was taken away, I realized how much of a bracha it really is. So one thing I took out from this whole coronavirus experience is to never, ever take anything for granted.
Welcome, everyone. It's a great honor to be able to introduce the third and final section of the 8th grade students of the Aurora Middle School to come up and present their speeches. I would like to thank Rabbi Palgon, Rabbi Wiener, Mrs. Berry, Mrs. Goldglantz, and all the outstanding RMS faculty and volunteers that made today possible and created such a warm learning environment at RMS. In previous years, a specific topic was assigned to each student to research and speak about at graduation. Towards the middle of this year, we were asked to research one gadol who inspired us. However, when COVID-19 came and abruptly seized all of regular school, drastically changing many people's lives, it seemed as though it would be a missed opportunity to not reflect on this time. Throughout the school year, we each have discovered that no matter what the situation, Hashem does everything with a purpose. Yet amidst this pandemic, we have all questioned the purpose of this virus and what can be learned from it. Every one of us has been affected in some way. Every one of us can take away a positive lesson to grow in our Torah values. As Rashi so beautifully states with regards to the obligation of dismantling a house with leprosy, Ve'al yedei hanega notzei tabait umutzan. We experience aras not just as a punishment, but as a means to dig deeper in order to find our inner gold. So too, the COVID-19 pandemic has given us each an opportunity to find our spiritual treasures. It is my great honor to now present the last section of the Aurora Middle School class of 2020 to come up and bring a new light to these troubling times.
Zusha Licht.
Today, the entire world's normal life is suspended because a tiny virus has infected people in almost every corner of the planet. Just like a tiny pill can take care of the biggest headache, this little invisible virus has changed our lives in a way that is totally out of comparison to its size. We cannot take our future for granted. Our lives have changed drastically, and moving forward, we cannot expect that tomorrow will be the same as yesterday. As Jews, we must always look at the bright side of every event, and we must take a lesson out of this for our lives. What is the lesson? If such a small virus can affect our world in such a big but temporary way, then my small mitzvah or act of kindness can change the world in a big but permanent way. Because the energy of a good deed never goes away. It only grows and becomes bigger. Thank you.
David Newhouse.
The coronavirus pandemic has had a great impact on me. I am now able to better realize how much Hashem protects us on a daily basis. In this time of uncertainty, it truly helps to know that. During this coronavirus pandemic, I am learning more about how viruses work. For example, antibodies can be found within the virus itself. While there is still uncertainty about whether someone can contract the virus in any form more than once, I'm hopeful that we will see a drastic decrease in cases in the very near future. In the beginning of this pandemic, the number of deaths was projected to be much higher than the number that actually died. I realize it's only because Hashem is protecting us every day that the death toll isn't much higher than it is.
Naftali Rosenberg.
In my opinion, the whole COVID-19 pandemic happened because nobody respected one another to the right degree. Just as in the times of Rabbi Akiva, Hashem caused the Magefa, a plague, that killed 24,000 of Rabbi Akiva's students in 1 month because of their lack of mutual respect. From this I learned that we should increase our respect in many different ways. First, we need to show more to Rebbeim and teachers who always deserve the utmost respect. Next is to respect our peers and even random people we see in the street. Thirdly, we should respect shuls, yeshivas, and other makamas kadoshim, holy places. Finally, we should respect our moedim, special times, Shabbos, Yom Tov, and even Rosh Chodesh. This is my spiritual takeaway from the coronavirus pandemic.
Shimon Ravner.
Ready? We sometimes think we're in control of our life, but we're not. We thought we needed to go somewhere or do something, but coronavirus changed our priorities. What we need is to be safe and spend time with our families. Physical distance from friends and family does not determine closeness. The Torah calls the family krovim, which translates into close ones. The lesson is, even if we're far physically, we're still close. With all the unknowns of this world, there are still a few things we could rely on, which are faith, family, and friends. The lesson is that Hashem is in control of our lives, not us. We have to remember that.
Kobe Salzhauer.
What I've learned spiritually from this pandemic is how Hashem can make the whole world shut down with something that is smaller than everyone. This experience has taught me that we should not take anything for granted. I really appreciate all the things I had before this happened. This experience has challenged everyone, and I realize how important my family and friends truly are to me. This pandemic has affected so many people, and I have learned from this that you shouldn't take life for granted, and Hashem controls everything that happens.
Binyamin Salzman.
Okay, start now. I've learned many things from COVID-19, one of which is patience. And I realize the amount of patience I have apparently isn't as much as I thought. During this quarantine, I've been working on improving my midos. For example, shalom bayis, which requires being more tolerant. It has helped me deal with spending so much time with my sisters. Without it, I'm not sure how I or they would have survived. I've also learned to appreciate being at school. I'm realizing that working at home is actually harder because it feels more relaxed, even if it's not. Being at home, I also have a new appreciation for our teachers and my family. They are working harder than ever at making this long-distance learning thing work. This hasn't been an easy time for any of us, but I know personally that I have grown and plan to continue growing from the experience.
Mordechai Tzvi Shrek.
One of the positive spiritual lessons that I learned from the impact of the coronavirus pandemic is to appreciate how Shem controls the world. As students, we were expecting this school year to end with a graduation trip, and then go to camp, but Hashem turned everything around. We are not having a typical graduation, nor will we be attending camp. These events helped me realize and really appreciate Hashem and how much control and ability He has to change everything in less than a minute. Therefore, from now on, I will try to daven better with a lot more kavanah and recognize who I'm davening.
Dovi Schwartz.
The positive spiritual lesson that I've learned from the experience of the coronavirus is not to take life for granted. If Hashem wanted us to suffer from the coronavirus, He could have given each of us the virus. If Hashem wanted us to suffer in any other way, His abilities are endless. Although, Baruch Hashem, we have not been affected with the coronavirus, we did suffer in our own way. I have not seen my rebbeim, teachers, or friends in over 3 months. Over the past 3 months, I've realized that only Hashem has the ability to save your life. This spiritual lesson has made me see life in a different perspective, and it's now clear to me that whatever happens is what Hashem wants. Therefore, I am choosing to daven with more kavanah. This is the main lesson I've learned from this troubling time.
Jonah Shames.
I would just like to share some spiritual lessons which I have learned from this pandemic. First, we should all appreciate what we have in life. We have technology to help us learn and interact with family, friends, and classmates. We have a home to keep us safe and stores to buy the supplies we need. Second, we should also learn from this pandemic that we have each other to help us through terrible times. We have our parents to teach us the right way to act during this pandemic. We have our amazing teachers and rebbeim to help us learn, and volunteers to help us get through this pandemic. Consider how life would be otherwise. We have so much to be grateful for.
Salo Schneiderman.
As the days in quarantine pass, my perspective on life changes. What I mean by this is, I realize how important and valuable everything really is. I've grown in my Torah values in many ways, but the one I am working on the most is realizing how fortunate I am to be able to learn and daven every day and to do all the things I can do. Once this is over, I will appreciate everything more because I see from this pandemic that anything can be taken away if Hashem wants it to. The other reason is, I hear all the horrible news and it motivates me to daven better for the sick people, and it makes me appreciate my family more and all the things that I have. All the things that are happening now show that before we didn't take the time to thank Hashem so much, but now that this has happened, we see how valuable everything is, and I realize it's a wake-up call to improve. I hope that by the end of this, we all have a better perspective on life and we appreciate more what we have been given.
Aaron Steinberg.
Due to the coronavirus, my view on life changed quickly. I cannot go outside without worrying about my health, and I am stuck at home all day. I started to think about all the things I used to do daily, and those things were taken away from me. This helped me to realize how much we take for granted each day without even noticing. Therefore, for me to be reminded not to take things for granted each day, I'm going to make an effort to be kinder to everyone around me.
David Suissa.
The one significant spiritual lesson that has impacted my life due to the coronavirus is that I can't take life for granted. When I hear about all the tragic things that are happening to people, it makes me stop and think and appreciate what I have, especially my family. I realize I can be in the same position as anyone else and my life can change in an instant. There are people who are losing family members, and I am thankful to Hashem that this does not happen to me. The coronavirus boosted my emunah in Hashem because in the end it's all up to Him and we have no control over it. All that I can do is daven and pray to Hashem and ask Him to keep my family safe.
Kobe Tsur.
During this pandemic, I have been thinking about what I can take away from my experience. The positive spiritual lesson that I learned during this challenging time is that nothing is to be taken for granted. We must appreciate every second of this world that is given to us. I learned that every breath that enters our mouth is a miracle, and that every heartbeat that pounds against our chest is also a miracle. After this pandemic, I hope that I will appreciate and thank Hashem for every day that we can go out and feel safe without wearing masks and without social distancing. We must realize what our real purpose is in this world, to serve Hashem. This pandemic is a reminder that we may think we can control everything, but Hashem is the one who really controls the world. All challenges that Hashem gives us are meant to help us stay on the correct path.
Yaakov Waxhaw.
The most important lesson that I learned from the coronavirus pandemic is to Shem. During the pandemic, the main water pipe broke in my house, leaving my family without water. Not having water was hard. Each time we needed water for anything, we had to go outside. We couldn't even go to someone else to take a shower or anything else. That's when I realized how much Hashem has given us. There's so many things we can do to remember this moment. The thing I'm going to do is have a little more kavanah when I say bracha chayna.
Sruli Wexler.
I have learned many lessons from the coronavirus pandemic, and I would like to share some of these lessons with you. I've been spending most of my time at home with my family these days. Sometimes it's been kind of hard, but most of the time it's been enjoyable. I've worked on my ability to be patient with my family members. I've also learned that Shem is in control of the world, and whatever happens is for a reason, even if I don't understand it. Given what has been happening all around us, we need to make sure we do our part during these challenging times and help each other get through this. I believe I've grown in several of my Torah values during this pandemic, specifically in having patience, believing in Hashem, and helping those around me.
Ruvain Woolwick.
During this time of the coronavirus pandemic, I've learned a great lesson. The lesson is to be grateful for what we have. I'm truly more grateful now because of this experience. We took for granted what we had before, for example, shows, schools, and of course, friends. I used to go to school every day and not realize how awesome it was to be with my friends. Now that we are stuck at home and we need to be inside, it doesn't take more than a second to recognize how much good we have. We have our families and we can use technology to continue to go to school and study the Torah. We need to focus on the positive and appreciate the things we have. This pandemic is a challenge we can all overcome.
Rabbeim, teachers, parents, and students, you are in for a very special treat. If you are sitting in a place where you cannot see the screens, you might want to relocate for a few moments, but please do not block anyone's view. Boys, for 3.5 months you've not been in school, but your teachers in our band have been thinking a lot about you, and you're about to get an eyeful of what they think of you. The video might go fast, but that's okay. When you receive your yearbook, every single picture and every single bit of sentiment that your Rebbeim teachers have said about you will be there for you. So enjoy this beautiful multimedia presentation of Greatness Revealed.
Take a drive down the highway of life. Give me 5, my friend. Here we are. We're together again and remembering when we met. All the games, all the jokes that we laughed at, the pain that we shared, and we knew that no matter what came, our bond would remain the same. I can travel down any road, 'cause I know that I'm not alone. I've got my friends and their loyalty. I've got my friends who always see the best in me. I've got my friends every step of the way. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. All the years, all the good and the bad, you were there, my friends. And the times when I stumbled and fell, you would help me get up again. And the smiles that the memories bring keep me going through everything. There's a song that together we sing. I can travel down any road, 'cause I know that I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I've got my friends and their loyalty. I've got my friends who always see the best in me. I've got my friends every step of the way. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. I'm up and down the mountain, I'm not afraid. I'm hanging with my friends, I know they're with me all the way. I know they're with me all the way. I know they're with me all the way. I know they're here with me to stay. I've got my friends on the sunny days. I've got my friends in the thunderstorms and pouring rain. And when I see them, I know I'm okay. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. I've got my friends, I've got my friends. I've got my friends, I've got my friends. I've got my friends. Take a drive down the highway of life. Give me 5, my friend. Here we are. We're together again and remembering when we met. All the games, all the jokes that we laughed at, the pain that we shared, and we knew that no matter what came, our bond would remain the same. I can travel down any road, 'cause I know that I'm not alone. I've got my friends and their loyalty. I've got my friends who always see the best in me. I've got my friends every step of the way. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. My friend, here we are. We're together again and remembering when we met. All the games, all the jokes that we laughed at, the pain that we shared. And we knew that no matter what came, our bond would remain the same. I can travel down any road, 'cause I know that I'm not alone. I've got my friends and their loyalty. I've got my friends who always see the best in me. I've got my friends every step of the way. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. All the years, all the good and the bad, you were there, my friends. And the times when I stumbled and fell, you would help me get up again. And the smiles that the memories bring keep me going through everything. There's a song that together we sing. I can travel down any road, 'cause I know that I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I've got my friends and their loyalty. I've got my friends who always see the best in me. I've got my friends every step of the way. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. I'm up and down the mountain, I'm not afraid. I'm hanging with my friends, I know they're with me all the way. I know they're with me all the way. I know they're with me all the way. I know they're here with me to stay. I've got my friends on the sunny days. I've got my friends in the thunderstorms and pouring rain. And when I see them, I know I'm okay. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. I've got my friends, I've got my friends. I've got my friends, I've got my friends. I've got my friends. Take a drive down the highway of life. Give me 5, my friend. Here we are. We're together again and remembering when we met. All the games, all the jokes that we laughed at, the pain that we shared. And we knew that no matter what came, our bond would remain the same. I can travel down any road, 'cause I know that I'm not alone. I've got my friends and their loyalty. I've got my friends who always see the best in me. I've got my friends every step of the way. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. All the years, all the good and the bad, you were there, my friends. And the times when I stumbled and fell, you would help me get up again. And the smiles that the memories bring keep me going down the highway of life. Give me 5, my friend. Here we are. we're together again and remembering when we met. All the games, all the jokes that we laughed at, the pain that we shared, and we knew that no matter what came, our bond would remain the same. I can travel down any road, 'cause I know that I'm not alone. I've got my friends and their loyalty. I've got my friends who always see the best in me. I've got my friends every step of the way. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. All the years, all the good and the bad, you were there, my friends. And the times when I stumbled and fell, you would help me get up again. And the smiles that the memories bring keep me going through everything. There's a song that together we sing, I can travel down any road, 'cause I know that I'm not alone. I'm not alone. I've got my friends and their loyalty. I've got my friends who always see the best in me. I've got my friends every step of the way. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. I'm up and down the mountain, I'm not afraid. I'm hanging with my friends, I know they're with me all the way. I know they're with me all the way. I know they're with me all the way. I know they're here with me to stay. I've got my friends on the sunny days. I've got my friends in the thunderstorms and pouring rain. And when I see them, I know I'm okay. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. I've got my friends, I've got my friends. I've got my friends, I've got my friends. I've got my friends. Take a drive down the highway of life. Give me 5, my friend. Here we are. We're together again and remembering when we met. All the games, all the jokes that we laughed at, the pain that we shared, and we knew that no matter what came, our bond would remain the same. I can travel down any road, 'cause I know that I'm not alone. I've got my friends and their loyalty. I've got my friends who always see the best in me. I've got my friends every step of the way. My friends have helped to shape the man I am today. All the years, all the good and the bad, you were there, my friends.
Good morning. It is so hard to put into words how proud we all are of you at this very moment. This is such a bittersweet moment for us as we spend the last days distant yet together here at the Aurora Middle School. You have been an exceptional class since you arrived here in 6th grade. Our goal and objective at Torah RMS and Royal Middle School was to first understand your ultimate potential and then tap into your inherent greatness to help mold you into intelligent and sophisticated B'nai Torah as you enter high school. We are counting on you to always try to place this value in front of you as you meet life's challenges. We are proud of you for the Torah you have learned, the tefillos you have davened, and the relationships you have forged with your rebbeim, teachers, and chaverim. We are proud of you for understanding the greatness you have already shown and the tremendous potential that each of you are also bound to achieve. We are thrilled to present to you this morning with our gift, which we hope you will open and read when you return home. We hope the inspiration you receive will remind you of our fervent wish that you continue to grow, to become intelligent and inspired B'nai Torah, and that we all merit to see that greatness catch and remain on fire in each and every one of you. On behalf of all our Rosh Yeshiva, Board of Directors, Rebbeim, faculty, and staff, I'd like to wish each of you a happy and healthy life filled with all the blessings and brachos that Hashem has in store for those who study and show honor to the Torah. You have indeed made us very, very proud. Mazel tov upon this morning's significant milestone.
It is my great pleasure and honor to ask the graduates to virtually exit their graduation, as they are now no longer 8th graders, but they are heading on to their high school careers that they should be very successful in. Cars, kindly wait for the final departure announcements, but turn your attention to the screens as we bid a very, very well-deserved farewell to our 8th grade class.